Hello and welcome to this week's Mollie Sommer Show. This week I have a special treat for you. My beautiful friend Jill Valentine came on my live show on Instagram, and today I want to share that conversation with you. We talked about transformative experiences, abundance mindset, and pursuing a life of fulfillment. Jill is an incredible example of this. Jill Valentine is the co-founder and transformational travel and life purpose coach. Jill co-founded Embarked, which brings volunteering abroad and personal development together to create an epic adventure. So stay tuned for this really fun, highly conscious exchange between Jill and I, and stay tuned afterwards for all the information about where you can find Jill and what her next amazing offers are. Thank you for being here, Jill. Good morning to Instagram land. It's September 1st. It is a new beginning, and the Mollie Sommer Show is live on Fridays with amazing entrepreneurs. And we're starting off with Jill Valentine. I'm so excited for you to be here and for you to share everything that you are working on and for this incredible conversation that we're about to have. So if you love, conscious conversation and inspiring people, this is the place to be right now. And so as usual, bring your hands and feet inside the car and buckle up. We're about to go on an amazing ride.
Awesome.
So Jill Valentine, I just want to start by saying, we met on Instagram. I love Instagram for this. We met almost a year ago now because of a mutual friend who had posted that she had gone on one of your trips. And I thought to myself, ooh, who is this amazing, fantastic person taking people on impactful and, community-oriented and trips of service to give back to the world? And so I reached out to you, and I have to say, I instantly fell in love with you. You're so wonderful, and I love what you're all about. So why don't you tell the people watching today what you're all about?
Awesome. Okay. So I am the co-founder and transformative travel and life purpose coach for Embarked. So in essence, I marry life coaching with volunteering abroad experiences to provide clients and people with incredible transformative experiences that help them find clarity, confidence, community to, in essence, live the life of their dreams, give back in the ways they want to, make the difference in the way they want to, and just have a meaningful and fulfilling life.
Yes.
That's pretty much it. Yep.
And it aligns so much with my life unfolding. And I think that's why, we fall in love with each other, because we see aligned things in each other, right? And I just love that you are boots on the ground and doing it, and you are living an amazing life. Just before we were live here, you were saying that you're heading to Mongolia to go on this incredible adventure. So you are not only teaching this, you are living it, embodying it, and that is so important when you are creating an impact in other people's lives.
Yeah. I feel like that's one of the big things, when seeking out guidance, mentorship, coaching, it's you got to follow the people who are actually living the talk, not just walking the talk, doing it, embracing it, living it. And I knew that when I started, and I decided to become an entrepreneur, that what I did just had to be so in line with who I was. I couldn't, sell widgets I didn't believe in. It had to be something I was really passionate about so I could really throw myself fully into it. And I've always been an avid humanitarian and volunteer. And so it just made sense to make that a big, significant part of my business.
Yeah, I love that. And aligned entrepreneurship. And, I believe that our businesses are our creative expression, right? And if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you're passionate about and what you want to offer to the world, you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall. So I
Yeah.
love that you have created this life from that place.
Oh, and I love that you share that, because that's actually in essence part of what we do when people do want to give back, when they want to create impact. We help them to discover themselves so they can create impact in the best possible way, being their best possible self. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we're all unique in that way, right? Like what I'm offering is different from what you're offering, and yet they're both needed, and there's people that need both of us. And I love that. That's so amazing. So let's back up a little bit. Like what brought you to this place? What shifted to bring you into this alignment? Tell me a little bit of your backstory.
So for years, I actually worked in the nonprofit and charity space for, big national organizations and small ones. And for the most part, I didn't feel like I was creating the impact and making the difference that I wanted to. I didn't feel I was using my skills and potential well. And so there was a whole journey involved. I went and bartended for a while I tried to figure it out. I became a recreation therapist. I got into the world of disability sport, which that was probably the closest thing I've had to like a job that I really did love. And from there, I adventured to Uganda to volunteer for a year with a boy I had just started dating. And it was the most incredible year of my life, professionally, personally. We got engaged. I ran like the first national disability sports summit there, just incredible year. And at the end, we were like, okay, well, we're going to go home, get married, I don't know, have kids, do the thing. But when I arrived home, instead of being super excited about all the things, I actually found myself really down and really struggling. And I was like, I don't think I can go back to the 9 to 5, having sort of tasted freedom and real sense of purpose. The people with disabilities there was such a need, and I just felt I couldn't go back. And so I was exploring, what am I going to do? My sister's a psychotherapist, and that was something I'd considered. But she was like, I feel like with you, your energy, who you are, I feel like life coaching might actually be more up your alley. And I was like, oh. And I kind of looked into life coaching and decided, what else am I going to do right now? The going back to that world wasn't a right fit at the moment. And so I decided to take a life coaching program. And through that, it is basically you just get life coached. You just learn a ton, a crazy amount about myself. And I discovered what my values were, what my strengths were, that I've, got unlimited potential, all sorts of amazing stuff. And at the end, it was like, well, what are you going to do? Who are you going to coach? And I kept thinking, so much of my journey of self-discovery and everything, so much had come from that year in Uganda, that time abroad, that time of volunteering and being away and everything. And I thought, I think it's going to have to do something around volunteering abroad, the coaching, we'll bring it together. And so I went and I spent a month in the Philippines after Typhoon Haiyan, doing some rebuilding and recovery volunteer work with the intention of connecting with volunteers and exploring how coaching could support them and all of that. And so many of them were having these profound life experiences, but they weren't processing it. They didn't know what they were going to do when they went home. And I just was like, this is it. Volunteering abroad, profoundly transformative. Coaching, profoundly transformative. We bring them together, and like personal profound change, global change, all the things. And it just felt so in line with who I was, what I wanted in my life. I wanted to be able to continue to volunteer abroad, but I actually in the Philippines found out I was pregnant. So I was going to be a mom. So I thought, well, this is a way I can keep volunteering abroad in my life and travel and adventure and novelty and supporting people and doing the international development work that I love to do. And so it was literally that Ikagi thing where you're what you love, it just was all of it together.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it happened. So I came home pregnant and was like, well, maybe I'll start my business a little slower than anticipated. And I ran my first program leading a group of entrepreneurial women to Belize when my daughter was 10 months old. I left her for the week, headed off, and that was the start of this incredible journey.
I love it. I love it. I love how you took an experience and then experienced the contrast of that coming home, right? And not, you didn't go down the ego route and going, oh, poor me, I'm a victim, or I'm frustrated that I can't live this life and this is the life that's been given to me. But you said, no, like, let's move towards this. Let's move towards what lights me up, and just let it unfold for yourself. Because a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, as that I hear the story of, well, I want to leave my corporate job, but I want to be making the same amount of money that I'm making right now. And then they don't leave their corporate job because they're so afraid of taking that leap. And it is scary and it does take bravery, but man, the payoff on the other side, right, is just, I would never go back to a corporate job ever again, because the freedom and the alignment and the feeling of, you know, the ability to make those changes in people's lives, like, there's nothing better.
Exactly. I feel like what I'm doing now honors so deeply who I am, what my strengths are. Like, before I was running around doing admin stuff, like, I am meant to be doing what I'm doing. Like, I know that this is like my call to contribution. Like, this is my soul's work. You know, and they always say it's the stuff that you kind of do well that you don't even realize. And I was like, yeah, work sometimes always felt hard before. And I'm like, this feels like easy and in alignment. And yeah, and it was so interesting because that's the journey I feel like I now take people on. It's like, it's the journey of self-discovery, so you can create the life that makes you happy. And it was so clear. I looked at my life and I said, I was happy in Uganda because all of my values existed. I had purpose, adventure, freedom, community, connection, like all of that. And I'm like, I got none of it in Toronto. And like, what are the options? I moved back to Uganda, which was an option, but I'm like, or I stay in Toronto and I make that happen. And I did. I became really intentional with my life. I like went out and created community and friend stalked people and like all the things, and then really got clear on what I was going to do career wise. And I just was like, these are the values. I need to honor those or I won't be happy, truly.
Absolutely. 100%. And I love what you're touching on there, is that, you know, a lot of people think that they can't live where they live in order to be happy, in order to take the steps that they need to take in order to build the life they need to build. But it really doesn't matter. We are creators of our experience. And if you are living in Toronto, or myself, I live in Kamloops, like, we're meant to be here for a reason. And it's not to suffer. It's not to be alone. It is to create that community. It is to go out and friend stalk people. You know, I love that.
Absolutely.
And creating that energy and that impact and that presence exactly where you are.
Yeah.
Because, you know, just like the old saying, the grass is not greener on the other side of the fence.
Yeah. And that is something, you know, we sit here, we talk about, you know, of course we took the entrepreneur route, but that's not even necessarily what I recommend. You know, if it's not for you, it's still about just finding the meaning and the happiness in the life that you are living, in the life that makes sense for you. If you're in corporate, but just not feeling it, but you're like, entrepreneur isn't for me, or charity isn't for me, then let's figure it out within your life, within that. And I always say, you can't create a happy life if you actually don't know what makes you happy. And so one of the first things I do is just help people figure out like what lights them up.
Absolutely.
Like, you can't head in a direction if you literally don't know what it is, like where you're heading. Like,
oh, absolutely. And we've been very much conditioned and taught to know what doesn't make us happy, right? To complain about the weather or what's happening around us. And when we focus on that, we just attract more of it. That's the law of abundance, the law of attraction. It's always working. And so when we move into that feeling of what feels good and what makes us happy, you know, law of abundance, the universe is working with us to create. We don't have to work alone, right? And when you're moving in that flow of your life, the doors open for you, right? And if it's not entrepreneurship, if it's not corporate, the right door will open, right? I literally just went, this funny story. I went downtown. I was looking for a new opportunity. I wanted to go network. I was friend stalking, right? And I went down to this business that I really wanted to go see and introduce myself. And I walked up to it and I went to open the door and it was literally locked.
Oh,
I know.
interesting.
And I was looking around and I'm like, it's like mid-afternoon. Like, what is going on here? This door should be open. And I stood back and I just looked at it and I was like, oh, wait, nope, this door is not for me. And I was like, all right, this is fine. Right. And, it's just like this, when the doors are meant for you, it's effortless, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to fight resistance. You don't have to, trudge and make and force things to happen. When you're living in that higher state of consciousness and vibration and energy, there's synergies, right? Like when we met,
yeah,
there's these instant connections and there's these instant doors. There's that feeling in your body that says, ooh, I need to talk to that person, right? Even at something as simple as sitting across from somebody in a coffee shop, right? And just looking at them and going, there's something about that person. If you get that hit, you have to listen to that and just open yourself up to that opportunity, whatever comes of it.
I love what you're saying. And I literally friend stalked someone because I liked their energy. I had seen them at a bunch of events and I just was like, I like who this person is. And I literally went to events that she was hosting. I went to another event, like an entrepreneurial event she was attending. And I literally like sat at her table and specifically like sat on the boat that we took over to the event. And at the end of the event, we were talking about what she was going to go do. And she was like, I'm going to go for a run. I was like, I can go for a run with you. Like, I don't even run. Literally, I don't run, but I was like, I'm going to make this happen. I was going to take the friendship outside of this like network sort of event. And we took the friendship out, and she's now one of my closest friends. She actually led one of our Kilimanjaro programs together. Like, but I was intentional. I felt her energy. I liked it. And our friendship beautifully, naturally unfolded. And she's now one of my closest friends and beautifully friend stalking. Absolutely.
And, so many people nowadays are so closed off to that opportunity, right? And we judge each other as right or wrong. But I love how you said, like, you were curious and you followed it. And then as the friendship unfolded, it just grew and bloomed. And, I love that. It's so,
but it did require a little bit of bravery. It did require pushing myself out of my comfort zone and saying, I'd be happy to go for a run with you. I mean, she could have been like, what, who are you? Like, what are you talking about? But I was like, I got shoes in my car. Like, let's go for a run. And it takes sort of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to make these kinds of things happen. We can't expect to sit at our couch at home and expect the world to come to us. We do have to be intentional and take action.
100%. And, like it can be something as simple as this morning I was at the gym and I love making connections everywhere. So I'm always just like looking people in the eye and smiling and waving. And even at the gym, like people don't make eye contact, or they see you looking at them and then they look away, right? And just anything simple like that, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, just making that eye connection, smiling to somebody and saying hi. That's all it takes.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I found one of the tricks in doing that, if you do feel nervous, is think about it from the other person's perspective. They're feeling the awkward. And sometimes it's a service. It's a wonderful thing you can do for someone. I went to the gym for the first time in forever. I did a body pump class, and one of the women came up after and she was like, hey, how did you feel? Like, how did it go? And I was like, that's so lovely that she made that effort and made me feel welcome. And I was like, amazing. Like now when I go back and I see her friendly face, it makes me feel more welcome. And I thought it was, like a service to me that she actually was friendly and came over and said something, because it made me feel more welcome and a sense of belonging. So sometimes pushing yourself, think about how it's possibly being of service to the other person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my son was just messaging me in the middle of that thing. So I take that as an affirmation that you are 100% right. The dinging is going off.
Love it.
Oh, so good. So we're talking about the first steps here to inspire a new way of life, right? So what would you say are the biggest blocks that you come up against with your clients that stop them from taking these steps?
Truly, one of the biggest is just a belief in themselves, a
Mm,
belief that that this whatever is possible for them. You know,
yes.
there's that usual, like, it's someone else that this can happen for. It's not for me. I don't whatever. I don't have it. I'm not whatever enough.
Yeah.
Which is why we create the experience that we do.
Yes.
You know, when we take people abroad and they get physical, you know, we end up like literally making cement. We made like 5 mountains of cement in one day. And I can tell you, not a single person that was there ever would have thought themselves capable of doing what we actually got done by the end of the day. And so there's that element. And then for some of our programs, when we do a big thing like climbing Kilimanjaro, and they summit after often an extremely hard and, you know, excruciating days on the mountain, they come away being like, wow, I pushed myself as I never have. I had no idea I was so capable, that I had this reservoir of determination within me. Like, and we've had people come back, you know, entrepreneurs come back and go, my God, if I could climb that mountain, I could do anything in my business.
Anything.
Like
Absolutely.
I can send those difficult emails. I can reach out. I
Yep.
can do marketing. I can jump on social media. And the same. And so one of the biggest is just that self-belief.
Yeah.
And so one of my gifts is helping people see the possibility within themselves,
Yeah.
and then giving that experience to really help them feel it. But yeah, I would say that's one of the truly biggest things that holds us back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. We doubt our capability of so many things. And I love that you're using a physical task, because the body is so much stronger and so much more resilient than we give it credit for. Even when we're out of shape, or, you know, haven't done something physically in a long time, the body reacts. It's natural, right?
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to see a physical achievement than a mental one, or an emotional one, or a spiritual one. And it's just, if you can see it in that physical body, you can see it everywhere. So,
And that's exactly it. So yeah.
Awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. In my own journey, I actually started with my physical body, because it taught me not only my capability, but my self-worth in building that relationship and that richness in my body. I became more attuned to my deservingness of what I wanted. And it was through the physical that I was able to then, you know, branch off into other areas of my life, because I didn't believe that I could do it. Right. But then at the same time, I was like, well, if I can do it with my physical body, I can do it in everything. Right.
Yeah.
I believe
Absolutely.
we're 100% capable of anything we desire, if we're just willing to, you know, put in the commitment and the dedication and, you know, moving through it. I love that.
Yeah,
so good.
Absolutely.
So I help a lot of my clients with that scarcity mindset and money beliefs of lack. And I know that you work in countries where real poverty is a real thing, right? So what would you say to somebody trying to make more money in business or in life when they're stuck in that scarcity mindset?
Oh my goodness. I mean, as we all know, like, it really is about that energetic, right? It's money is energy, and so much of it does come down to, I mean, gosh, so much of everything comes down to our childhood, our beliefs, the way we were raised, and everything. And so really helping them to understand that their relationship with money is a mindset that has been programmed based on a scarcity. I mean, I know I struggled with that. You know, when you aren't raised in abundance, when you aren't raised, you know, with the silver spoon in your mouth, you know, and you're seeing your parents' coupon clip and whatever, and then you become an entrepreneur and you're like, I'm going to charge this amount, literally amounts that you didn't think your parents would ever pay. Like, it's a really difficult thing to do, but recognizing that you're like, well, that's a certain mindset that absolutely some people will have, and they won't pay for your programs. They literally, but then thinking about it and being like, but think of the number of people out there spending crazy amounts of money at all sorts of things. When you think about, a simple thing, when you think about how expensive Disney is, and the number of people that visit there every day with their families, like there is abundance, like millions of people are churning through Disney, which we're talking like crazy amounts of, you know, of money that is happening in the world. So your small vision of like how your family was or whatever is one little sliver of a massive world of incredible abundance that's happening. And it's about tapping into that then, and knowing that that's out there, and surrounding yourself, to be honest, with people who understand and are in that sort of energetic abundance mindset. The minute you start talking to your friends and your family that you grew up with, and they're going to bring you back into that mindset, how people would never pay for that. And being like, yes, we were raised that way, so we have trouble thinking about that. But there's truly a world of people with abundance, with that see it as an energetic, that also know that what you're doing is worth the investment. Like, they understand that this will change my life. I think about that all the time. Like, what would I pay to have the friendships that I do, to have the relationships, the knowledge, the sense of self-worth? Like, I would pay crazy amounts of money for that. And that is what coaching programs give you, and experiences when you travel give you, and everything. So when you kind of flip it to that, you're like, this is your one life. And helping people understand that it's an investment in happiness, and what would people pay to be happy. So those are kind of the two things that I would sort of help people with the money thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And, you know, I really think, as so many people are coming into this realization that, you know, we are abundant naturally and a part of this abundant universe, you know, it's only been 2 generations behind us where that generation was raised by people that went through the, you know, the depression and the wars. And so that's what we grew up, and we're still experiencing that, right? We still, every year we bring all of that and honor that past. And, you know, we have to honor that past, but then we also have to look to the future and create from our, from what is possible, because the universe, or not the universe, the earth, the world has changed so much since then. There is so much wealth in this world. There is so much more and capability to connect and create a larger community, a global community, and come together and collaborate, you know, just like we are, right? There's just so much more richness now than ever before. And when you tap into that, it's got nothing to do with the money in your bank account. Right? It's it all ripples together.
Yes, and I agree. However, I do feel that I speak, I mean, 100%, I do feel that I speak from a place of privilege. I do have, you know, a certain amount of privilege, of what would be considered power, a voice in this world. And I know it's easy for me to say, you know, with the right mindset and whatever, there are systems of oppression that do not allow the same privilege to others. Like, and I recognize that. And so this isn't, you know, you can't go to somebody who's living below the poverty line, a single mother, you know, in a community, and go, oh, this is all just your mindset. Like, no, there are harsh realities and systems at place that really are keeping people from accessing opportunities and things that some of us have. And so one of my favorite quotes is by the director of the Earth Institute at Columbia University. And he talks about how the way to end global poverty is to build connections between power centers of the world with the impoverished communities. And that's not like necessarily like across continents. It can literally be within the power centers right here in Toronto and the neighborhoods that don't have, within Toronto. And I think that that's really important, that there is a legitimate actual scarcity for some people, in our world. I've met young, women with disabilities living in refugee camps, in Uganda. Talking to them about abundance mindset is not going to fix their very real problems. And so when I do talk about it, it's kind of speaking to a specific audience of those of us that are in this world of privilege, not necessarily those that are truly in worlds that actually have legit scarcity. So and that's just that sort of caveat there.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. And what I feel is that because we are coming from that place of privilege, we're part of that cycle, in that the more wealth we create in our place of privilege, the more we have to give back and to create those links that you're talking about. Right. And that's, that's what you're doing in your business. That's what I'm doing in my business, through giving back in the way that we can give back, so that the balance comes back into harmony, so that there isn't that, the wide swings of either side. Right. And I think as conscious entrepreneurs, the more of us that do that rise not only into our power, but into a power and into a place where we can make that bridge, it's, all boats rise together on the tide. Right. So I thank you for expressing that little piece, because it's a very important piece.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's why I push for conscious capitalism and all of that. And the more, you're right, the more that we all start doing it, the more, and it's happening, there's a wave, there's a movement where the bigger corporations are turning and saying, we can't just be pillaging the world and not caring about people and the planet and everything, and only caring about profit. We need to switch things up and do things differently. And that's something else I get super excited about. So anytime entrepreneurs, people in corporate, I'm always like, how can we give back? How can you live a life? How can we create a heroic business that really does, alleviate the suffering in the world rather than do harm? So I get very excited about all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love that. Me too. That's why I created the Higher Calling Millionaire, which you're a part of, right? Is to bring conscious entrepreneurs like us together so that we can create those collaborations, so that we can, work together to give back to the collective. So beautiful. It's so powerful, and such a beautiful lesson for our children to be learning, and for, the next generations to take forward.
Yes.
Yeah. So, oh man, I feel like we could talk for a long time, but we've been talking for half an hour about this. So for time's sake, I want to jump into some fun questions here. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay. So what makes you the most joyous in your life?
To be honest, some of the most joyous experiences I've ever had have been giving back in community and with family. Like truly, I volunteer locally with an organization that my great aunt runs. And I've gone out with my siblings, my daughter comes, my mother's there, and it's truly like the happiest I've been. The similar, when I'm on my programs and I'm bringing people and we're serving in community, like we're all together serving and doing good and making a difference. Honestly, that lights me up pretty much more than anything else.
Yeah, I love that. That's so beautiful. What's been the best piece of business advice you've ever been given?
Surround yourself with amazing people that believe in you. Truly. I mean, I really, it's having peers, it's having those that you're aspiring towards. It's having people that really believe in you and genuinely support you and want to see you succeed. I think that is game changing.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
and another little quick one,
Mhm.
expect success.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Success in it,
incredible.
it's
Yeah,
inevitable. Yeah.
yeah. There's an incredible
100%.
coach, Jennifer Lyle. She runs an expect success program. And I literally was like, am I expecting success or not? Like I'd run
Yeah.
something and I mean, maybe it won't fit. I was like,
Yeah.
if I'm not
No,
expecting success, it's not going to happen. So that was
absolutely.
another big one.
Yes. Oh, I love that. That's one I love too. Yeah, for sure. What would you give to someone who's just starting out?
What would I give to them?
What piece of advice would you give to them
Oh,
starting out? Just the same thing?
probably the same thing. And a couple of things. Trust your instincts, like
Yeah.
trust your instincts, but do get expertise, advice, and do the things, take action. Like we can spend a million times planning and organizing and creating marketing calendars and all the things, but if you're not actually doing anything, your business just isn't going to move forward. So do the doing.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So where can our listeners find out more about you?
Oh, so I have obviously here You Go Impact, Instagram, You Go Impact Facebook, email me, Jill@yougoimpact.com, and we have a website, that's ugoimpact.com. And yeah, they can find out about the one-on-one coaching I do, my Courage Community Kilimanjaro program that's coming up, that includes a week of volunteering in Tanzania, plus a week of climbing Kilimanjaro, all part of an awesome coaching program. And in the fall, I'm planning on starting up a Give and Grow membership around personal development and giving back. And like I said, being our best selves so we can best serve the world. So
I love that.
Lots of exciting stuff happening. Yeah.
Yeah, you have so much happening, so much on the go. It's so inspiring. I love connecting with you. I love connecting with you. So tell us a little bit more about your next big idea.
So my next big idea is actually to take the Tanzania program is so powerful, so amazing. I mean, all of ours are, but that one in particular, there's something, the community is just incredible. And so in 2025, I'm looking to run a family program because I have an 8-year-old and I have seen the impact that volunteering can provide, that travel. We haven't quite done it together at an age that she remembers. She came with us to Costa Rica when she was 2.5 and was there with a little hammer and all the things. It was super cute. But yeah, I want her to recognize the privilege she has in her life and to explore and see the world and discover herself. So we're planning on running a family program where there will be, self-reflection for the kids, for the adults. There will be programming that helps families decide, like, what do they want their social legacy to be? What difference do they want to make in the world? What are they going to go home and do to make a difference in their local community or internationally? So yeah, all the good stuff that's usually in an adult YouGo program, but for a family. So we won't be climbing Kili, more likely a safari. But yeah, so that's kind of brewing in the background. But I'm thinking 2025 summer, I think is, so that's one of my exciting sort of things on the horizon.
Oh, so good. That's been my dream since my children were born, is to travel with them and to take them and to show them the world and to you're right, like show them how beautiful they are or how, I mean,
that too.
Beautiful. They are beautiful, but how lucky they are and how privileged they are to be blessed to be, born here and to have all of this, right? So I love that. I think maybe we might have to book spots on that. So thank you so much for being here with me today, Jill, and sharing this space. Thank you to everybody on Instagram who has watched us live. If you're catching the replay on YouTube or on my podcast, please leave a comment and let us know if you enjoyed this. And everybody, you are capable. You are capable. You are worthy. You have something special to share with the world. You have gifts that are unique to you. And now is the time for you to start, learning about them and sharing them with the world. So
love it.
thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
Jill.
much. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was absolutely lovely. Just
Yes.
a really, really like heart-filling and warming conversation. I love it.
Yay. Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank you. So I hope you enjoyed this wonderful conversation between Jill and I. If you liked it, please leave a comment and a review. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, because there are more amazing, high conscious, high vibe entrepreneurs, creative entrepreneurs to come. You can find Jill online at ugoimpact.com or find her on Instagram at ugoimpact. Thank you once again for joining me here. Remember that you can achieve anything you can dream.